I am going to get started because I really want to try and leave a few minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the topic at the end of my sessions to really make it as interactive as possible. So I'll reintroduce myself if anybody wasn't on the one before, but I am Kate Bauer. I am an agent and a coach, Compass and CSC, obviously. I run a team with my mom. We have a team of 5 in Westchester County, which is right outside of New York City, so the New York City suburbs. I've been a coach at CSC for a little over 2 years now. I started with Chirag as having him as my coach. And then a little while after, people started asking if I could be a coach at the company. So I said, you're insane, but sure, let's see what I can do. And that's where I've been ever since. So I really focus a lot more on like the systems and kind of like the back end of the business is I think what most people come to me for coaching specifically. So I was asked to be the tech trainer now. I use all the Compass tech, and I said this before as well, but I'm sorry for anybody who's been in both the sessions. I'm really gonna try and explain and teach all of this tech the way that I use it. I always say this, I would never ask someone to do something that I don't do or something that I haven't used in my own business. It works, it's worked for me to grow, it's worked for me to scale. So if you ever need me to break anything down a little bit more to go in more in depth, please feel free. I'll be the first person to say if I don't know or if I need to ask someone. I have a wonderful AEM at my own office in Westchester, so I can always kind of bounce some ideas off of him. But for the most part, I should be able to kind of get you guys where you need to go with a lot of this. So earlier today, I had been touching on another session, so go back and watch that one if you need it. And I said at the end of the session as well, I'll share everything that I do. So if I have a deck that day, you'll get the deck. If I have, earlier I was sharing like an email template, you'll get my email templates within 24 hours. So feel free you can kind of eliminate those questions. And here you'll get everything that I share. So jumping into today, we're going to talk about Business Tracker. I think I have enough time to talk about everything I want to, but Business Tracker, the way that I kind of use it myself is it's kind of the melting pot of all of the Compass tools coming into one. So everything that we kind of use individually kind of blends here to create a really great kind of client dashboard, which is something that I think has been integral in my business and the client experience, I would say, that I like to give. So Chirag obviously talks a lot about the 4 seasons. He should probably be making a cut from how many times he says 4 seasons. So whatever hotel you love, whatever luxury hotel you love, they have basically the same kind of thing on you, the same kind of profile on you, so that they can really give you the best service when you come in and you check in. Basically what I try and do with this is I want to have this set up so that if anybody on my team, if my mom needs to go in, if our admin needs to go in, if another team agent needs to come in, if we're maybe working together with a buyer or a seller, they can come into this profile and basically just pick up wherever I left off. If I disappeared one day, it'd be an awful thing, but my clients would still have a great service because all their notes are in there. Their collection is linked. All the compliance is in there. Their Google folder is linked in there. Notes on them. The tasks are really big on that. So I try and really check off as things have been completed. So I'll walk you guys through all of that today. But before I do, just because it'll be helpful for me to gauge, does anybody have anything specifically with Business Tracker that they want me to hone in on a little bit more? Or everyone's just showing up for see what nuggets come out of today? You can unmute or you can type them in. No questions, just here. Who uses Business Tracker? Who feels like they use it really well or something that they really like out of it? Something specific. Gonna have to warm you guys up over the next, I don't know who was here before, but you're gonna be called out. So okay, so no one uses Business Tracker.
My assistant, sorry, hi Kate. I'm a 20-day hair gal and makeup.
Oh, good.
My assistant uses it more than I do, but
okay.
I figure it can't hurt to pick up a little something. In the event, like you just said, you can all be collaborative with it. So if nothing else, perhaps I could learn something with that. So here I am.
Perfect. Good. Okay. That'd be great. I mean, I've always said myself before we got an admin or anybody else who's really in my stuff or helping me out with it, I really wanted to understand and learn as much as I can so that one, I can also make sure that the people that are helping me with it are using it to its fullest capability, because ultimately you're always going to care more about your own brand than I think anybody that you can hire to work for you. So even if you can, like you said, kind of just understand the ABCs of it. So if you need to go in there, you can. God forbid she's sick on the most important day, you can understand it. I think is huge. Let me see what other people are saying in here. I wish it was easier to interface with the documents. Can you elaborate on that, Carrie, a little bit? So I can maybe try and help with that.
Yeah. When you have documents in Google Drive, they sync one way, but if I gotta receive a contract and I upload that, or I upload, I don't know, the commission statement or the master statement or something like that, and then I later need to go retrieve them, they don't, just because they're in the transaction documents doesn't feed them back into Google Drive. And so I feel as if I'm doing double or triple the work. It's like the other day I needed to send someone a master statement and I thought it was in Google Drive, but it wasn't. And then by the time you find it in Business Tracker, if it's a closed transaction, then you've got to download and move it over. I mean, it's not as free flowing as I wish it would be.
So as a major, and we'll review this as well, but this is helpful for me to hear. I'm a huge Google Drive person. I like, if that went away, I would just have to exit the business because that's where my whole brain lives in there. I've tried to get into, it is a one more step kind of thing. I have my admin in there with me, but I also know and understand my system. It's a very simple system. I try and put everything in the Google Drive first instead of adding anything into the compliance documents, which is I think what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This way, it just makes it easier. But yes, I wish I could help a little bit more with that. I wish that they kind of all sync together. But obviously, once it's in the Google Drive, then you can push it from there into the compliance. So I try to get everything there first and then push
That's
outward.
a good idea. Thank you.
Just it becomes second nature to me because it is annoying to have to go download. And then if a transaction closes, it's kind of archived. So you have to go back and get it from there. So I completely understand. Okay, great. And then would like to learn how to utilize it to collaborate with clients. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share a buyer, for instance, today. Just so everybody can kind of see, like, this is an ideal setup. And it's taken me a little bit to, I think, actually utilize this perfectly because, again, like I was saying, this is the melting pot of all the tools. So it's not like one day you're just going to show up in your business tracker and it's going to look perfect. It will look perfect if you're taking notes on your client, if you have a collection set up, if you're adding in the compliance on time. That's the ideal situation. But you can't just show up in business tracker and have it be a dashboard. So make sure that you're and you can either go back and watch some of the other sessions of things that have been touched on, continue watching mine, but business tracker will kind of encompass all of those things. So this is an example of one of my buyers. I met them probably, I don't know, 4 weeks ago. They just went under contract last week. So it's a good kind of in-between person. So when you go into business tracker here, I would go in and click on, you have your nurturing, searching, in contract. I would click on Elise and Grammy. So here you have the accepted offer. This is something that you would go and push through. I'm not going to go through that today, but I mean, that's how we all get paid. So I'm assuming we know how to add in accepted offers and move it to the next step. So in here, I have all of the tasks. So this is actually an action plan, and we'll have a separate section on action plan. I'm not going to get too into it today, but I have a separate action plan for buyers. So I've already clicked off all of the tasks that have been completed. So things like having them fill out my buyer questionnaire, setting up that intro meeting with them, sending the collection, all those things have already been completed in there. So I do suggest that people create some sort of action plan. Really, so not so much that you know where the transaction is at, because most of the time we know if you call up, has the appraisal been done for this or whatever step you're at in the transaction, you know it. This is about creating a collaborative experience in business tracker, aka get it out of your head and put it here so that other people would be able to jump in and understand where you're at. So that's why these tasks are so helpful. So I would know if I just jumped in here and my mom's name is Corinne, if I ever mentioned her. So if I came in and this was Corinne's client, if Corinne disappeared, I would know, okay, I have 2 buyers here, Elise and Grammy. They have an accepted offer on 506 Eagles Ridge Road. Email buyer about moving task. Okay, so they've probably already completed a bunch of other things. They're in contract. I don't see that the appraisal needs to happen, so that must have been completed. I have a good idea of where they're at. If I wanted to get to know them at all, I could always go into their collection. I could see what they've trashed, what kind of comments they've left. So let's say somebody wasn't in contract and I needed to pick up a buyer. I could go into their collection and start to get to know what their likes and dislikes were. Go back. The notes are really helpful. So if I had notes, like I should leave some notes in here about this client. Anything that's important to them. So like moving from White Plains, small little things, say Grammy works at Con Ed, small things like that. So ways that you can keep in touch with them. You could put kids' names here, you could put dogs' names here, whatever favorite restaurants, little things that they've mentioned, just to kind of have like somewhat of a client profile. This note section is very important to really understand who the buyer is. So I would really think, or who the client is. So I would think if you showed up to a hotel, what would they need to know about you? Are there certain pillows that you like more than the other? Are there certain things you like sent to the room? Whatever those little things are. This is what creates that luxury experience for people. You can have an idea of where they're at in the transaction down here. If you had ever made a CMA for a buyer, this would also be linked to the client. Any kind of tours, collections we already talked about. And then you'll see how much it was sold for, or how much it's in contract for here. So this is basically everything that you can see about them. Any questions so far?
Yes, please.
Okay,
So
feel free to
how
unmute.
did they get there to begin with is my first one, because that doesn't
Okay.
happen psychically.
Sure. Do you want me to do that first?
Sure.
Okay. So if you go into Business Tracker here, you're going to
Mhm.
press create right up at the top.
Okay,
Who's the owner of this transaction? It could be you, a team member, partner,
got it.
whatever
Okay.
it is. So buyer. 1 second, I just have a cough. I don't want to cough into you guys, but. So this one would be a buyer. Pick whichever stage you're at with them. So if you're doing this now, if you haven't done this before and you have people who are in contract, you're obviously going to say my buyer's offer is already in contract. In an ideal world, you would have them in here from the first moment that you met them.
Okay.
So pick whichever one it is. You could just do searching. You'd add
Okay.
in the client's name here.
Okay.
If they're not found, oh, I actually did have a John Smith. If they're not found, you basically just create new contact right here.
Okay.
Put the folder name as the client, or if it's a seller, sometimes having the address is a little bit more helpful. Were they referred to by another agent or not?
Okay.
Press create.
Oh, okay, which brings up another thing. So those tasks that are there, those are auto-populated from Compass, or you establish them at some point?
I established them through an action plan.
Okay.
So anybody who I title as a buyer will have these tasks automatically uploaded into their profile.
Okay.
And I'll go through action plans on another one. So now from here, because Corinne is in here, you don't have to go in and like link the tours or link the collection or anything like that. When you go in and do a tour, you are probably doing that from a collection to start with. So it's already going to be embedded in that client profile. Also, when you do a tour, you have to input a contact if it's not already detecting one. So as you move through the other Compass tools and the other Compass tech, it'll all go underneath this one profile. So it'll kind of start to build as the transaction builds.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
we have to build the tasks plan ourselves.
Yes, and I can share my action plan with you. Just for the sake of keeping it on the topic, I'll probably wait to share that until I can go through it more in depth in case anybody wants to understand how to customize it. Because mine is obviously specific to my market. So there could be things in there where it seems a little bit backwards for people in other markets.
I understand. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Let me get back. Any other questions?
And when you add the notes in that section, do those notes populate the other note areas in the system?
The other note areas for the contact, like the CRM? Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move through this and I'm gonna kind of pivot a little bit more into how to link a folder. So like I said, I'm a Google Drive user. If you're a Dropbox user, great. If you don't use either one, that's fine. I really love my Google Drive, so I'm just gonna share it separately here just to give everybody an idea. So this is like the holy grail. I could probably do a whole other section on just a whole other session on just my Google Drive. I separate my clients into one big client folder, active, archived, or past. Past are people who have closed, archived are people who have just stopped looking and want to pick back up at a certain point. Active are people who I have in contract or listings that I have signed up. So I would separate these out into both of these. So for all my active buyers, when you go into their folder, I have everything in here. So contract of sale, inspection reports, building files, everything you need for the transaction. So what I'm about to show you, linking this to your business tracker is not going to be helpful if you don't have a Google folder system set up. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I would highly encourage you to get something set up somewhere. I feel that Google is easy because Compass really operates more on a Google, like a G Suite kind of system. So I would recommend that. I have found this, I know a lot of people use this, all my coaching clients use this for the most part. I would highly recommend getting something like this set up. It's very easy. It's really just buyers, sellers. And then you put the name of the client or you can put the address, whatever you want to do. And then you just start filing away from there. So once you have something like this set up, you can go into the Google Drive. Let me just see a question. Would love a Google Drive session. Okay, Andrew, make a note of that if you're still on. Google Drive session separately. So I would go down in here. Glide is what we use. I believe that's like what we use in our region, is what's behind these transaction forms. If you want to get your documents signed this way, that's totally fine. If you want to get them done via DocuSign, that's also fine. I've always worked on DocuSign, so I think that works well for me. This just got rolled out for us like a year ago, so I haven't really switched over and I don't personally see the need to. That's just my honest opinion. Whatever you want to do. The only thing I'm going to say is this does not solve not needing a Google Drive system. You're not getting surveys signed in here. You're not getting your buyer questionnaire signed in here. Any copies of anything, building department documents, that should all, in my opinion, be in a Google Drive folder for this client. So just getting your signatures done in here for what you need to actually get paid for is not enough in the way I run my business. And it's something I'm very strict on, I would say, when I am giving an opinion, because I've seen things, like I mentioned before, like I've taken over the entire back end of like my mom's business for 20 years, being a very successful real estate agent, but files in the office and plans and all this stuff. This is the new way of doing it. I would highly encourage you to digitize all of your files. It is a compliment that I get every single time I work with somebody. People have switched from other agents over to me because they've heard from other people how organized I am. This is a huge thing and it's a huge asset for you to be able to pitch yourself to other clients. If what I have shown on listing pitches, my Google folder system and how I operate and what they can anticipate with spreadsheets of offers and all these other things that lie within this, I'm not saying it's gotten me the listing, but I have, knock on wood, not lost a listing pitch. So I'm sure something in there is going right for me. That's my whole thing on that. And I really don't get strict on anything else besides this. So with that being said, once you have your Google folder system created, you'll go through in here and you can link it. So right now I have Elise and Grammy linked in here. It's the same folder that you'd see right here. So contract of sale memo, offering plan, bylaws, contract of sale memo, offering plan, bylaws. As I update my Google Drive, which is what I was saying before, Carrie, of I would go here first. and have it automatically feed, just so I can make sure. I love Compass, I love the tech, that's what I'm teaching on. I just want to have something else so I know where my files are being located. So as you update this, this is a live feed into here. So when you need to go and upload things for compliance, you can do upload. Again, I'm over here in compliance. Upload from Google Drive, and my folders are here. So it makes it a lot easier. And this is, to me, everything being in one place. This is a collaborative experience. See what else I wanted to talk about. So that's my files. And then everything else from here is what I talked about, that I was looking at more of a dashboard feature before. Any comments that they've made, obviously commission when you get to that point, you'll close it out in here, whatever you need to do. Questions after my rant?
Okay, that to me seemed like once you have it down, like anything else, right? It's a pain to set up and learn
Yes.
new everything. I finally just got a new iPad, and trying to set it up, it's like going to the dentist is easier.
I know. Yeah.
Although right now getting a frickin' pharmacy thing delivered apparently is not so easy. So setting this up just does seem to be convoluted, but maybe Andrew wrote down that you're gonna do this class sometime soon, and we can
Yes.
see how to do it.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Yes, I would love to. I would say just start small. So like any files that you're already maybe having in like a PDF form. Like for us, most of our building departments now, if you FOIL or if you request the documents in one way, they'll send it to me online. Just get into the habit, if you go to the building department, for instance, if you're scanning it into a PDF, I would actually think to yourself, where is it going right now? If it's on that Mac desktop that is ingrained in my head, that is also known as my mother's computer as of 4 years ago, I'll have hives, first of all, but that's probably where it's sitting. And then when you need it again, you need to email it, or you need a contract of something, whatever, whatever part of it, you need a pre-approval to put in an offer because you're out. How much easier would it be to just go into one place and you have the app of Google Drive as well on your phone and send it off that way? In the Google Drive as well, you can also add in attorneys, lenders, title companies, anybody who needs it. So I would think right now, where are my files? And start, if you just make a client folder, literally called clients, separate it out into buyers and sellers. Let's just start with that. And then click on the buyers, make a folder called Kate, whatever your buyer's name is, and then just start putting everything in there. Within the folder, I'll teach you how to be even more organized, but at least start with that. Have everything that pertains to the transaction in one folder. In the Google Drive, I think is easier, rather than just like a desktop, like a Mac desktop or whatever you use.
And just so I'm clear, I use Google Chrome for Compass, and but Compass owns that Google account. I don't.
Yes.
So if I were to
Yes.
leave, then all that stuff is lost to me. So that's one of my concerns.
It is, or the day before you left, which I don't know why you'd ever leave such a fabulous company. I'd say that, right?
I have no plans
no,
to
you
leave
just,
because that
no,
alone
of course not.
is like going to the
Yeah.
dentist.
Of course. So you would
but,
basically, what you do is you could just easily export out your Google Drive into separate zip files and upload it somewhere else if you wanted to. You also don't need to have it through that Google account. Make another Gmail account if you want to, just to feel like it's separate, and make a shared drive there. And it doesn't necessarily need to be. I don't know exactly how that ties in. I need to check if you can link that Google account into Compass though. So that would be my only
guess
thing.
is you can't, but aside from that, I haven't worked on Google enough to know how to bifurcate out the way you have. So that class would be most helpful.
Great. We'll do it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And again, I have no plans to leave. I could send
That's
you.
okay. I can't, honestly, it's okay. I can't even see who's talking exactly. So you're totally good for me because I don't know if you're on. So I don't know where your camera is on here. You're safe with me. Okay, anything else?
Kate, if your client doesn't use Google at all, can they still see a Google Drive folder? Like, let's say
I
they don't have Google accounts, they don't have Gmail.
They
can
can.
still
I
see
have clients
that.
who don't have Gmail who can still get in there. Yep.
And then the other question I had is that they always were talking about how you're going to be able to collaborate with the client on their folders right in Business Tracker, but it seems like that is really not the case. It's just the Google Drive folder, right?
It's really more your Google Drive folder. It could be
Yeah.
different in other places. I don't have it where like my buyer can get into Business Tracker right
Yeah.
now. If anyone else has it differently, please connect with me offline. I'd love to just see what that looks like. But right now I just kind of have them in here this way.
Because they
So I
kind
have
of
people
talked about
in the
it
Google
that
Drive.
way, like the
I'm
client.
sure it's in the works. I'm sure it's in the works.
Yeah.
I might just,
Carol,
and again, if someone else has it, let me know.
this is Ryan Blauser in Dallas. Carol, Rory just shared that in their tech fireside chat last week. That's coming. It's not out to us
that's
yet,
good.
but it is
Yeah.
on the horizon soon.
The other thing I just learned, which really blew me away, is that, you know, how you were talking about, oh, well, if I make notes and I disappear and someone else, you know, goes to the, well, unless you're on a team, the notes never get updated. So let's say I'm going to go out of town and I am going to have another agent take over my business while I'm gone. And I
Mhm.
share my Business Tracker folder on those clients with the other agent. My AEM said the only notes they will see is what's already there. But if you add anything or they add any, it's like you don't see it.
Meaning like it's not a live feed, so to speak.
It only works for Teams, I guess. It doesn't work for.
They might have it blocked because I don't know how the permissions would work on such a short time frame like that.
Yeah.
But I think it is a little bit more for that. It's really for a situation where I would say most of the time we're not leaving our clients, I don't know, in the middle of a transaction for a vacation or whatnot. Yes, it's more so if someone really had to go in and take over something specifically, or if you're working on a team or you have an admin, an unlicensed team member kind of working in there with you, which I know a lot of people do. It's very helpful for me personally. I would also think it's not just who needs to collaborate today. Sometimes I need to collaborate with my 4 years ago self on a client and freshen up on what were they like, and maybe not what they bought. I can probably remember that, but what was the dog's name, or what were the kids' names? Or if I'm going and I'm sending out a small gift, please remind me 2020 Kate, because 2024 does not really remember 200 clients later, even though in the moment I thought I would. So it's really more so for you as well in the
Okay.
future to keep a really
Right.
strong CRM.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I am going to work on getting a Google Drive session going. Sorry to add something specific. CSE. See, I've been back for 1 day, by the way, guys, Andrew, and I've already added and made your life more difficult. Sorry.
No,
But we'll
it's
figure it
okay
out.
because
We'll figure it
we've
out.
heard like this is a session that we need to do anyway. So like
Okay,
it's good.
good.
It's good. Yeah.
Good. Okay, good. So I'm not making everyone too crazy. They're like, Kate, you're up first day. Okay, good. So I think that will be really helpful to that's kind of why I said, like, I feel like this is almost a two-parter, kind of topic, because I think until you can do everything else, like everything else will sink in there. What I would say a great thing to do before our Google Drive session, we'll send out when it's going to be, maybe make sure that your pipeline in Business Tracker is up to date. So like make sure if you have any listings that are getting signed up, anyone who's already in contract on both the buy or the sell side, or landlord, tenant, whoever it is, maybe make sure that that is updated as like homework, if you will. Because once that's done, then we can add in the Google Drive part of it. But you can do that without understanding the Google folder system. So make sure your Business Tracker is reflective of what business you have going on.
Okay, Kate, it's Abby. Here's a question, because we were talking about Business Tracker. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All I want to
Yeah.
know is, what I want to know is if I'd like to keep all the documents in Business Tracker. I don't do the Drive. I do it on my desktop, old fashioned, like I throw everything in a folder. But
Yeah. Yeah.
right, that's how I want to learn about the Drive. But in the meantime, like, where do I put these extra, not compliance, but like extra things that come, like maybe I want to save an email that my client sent to me and I just want to hold on to that because he gave me the code to his house or something. Where is that in Business Tracker?
I'm pretty sure if you go into transaction forms, and again, I don't use it this way and I'll test it, but I'm pretty sure if you go here, let me make you smaller, into this transaction forms, whatever place, you can do upload from computer and add in a document. Let me just try and upload this.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
I
so
thought
you
that
can keep it here
yeah.
if you want to.
I
Hmm?
thought that was just for okay, that could get confusing though, because those documents usually are for signing,
Right.
right? So you
So
go
that's why
those
I
and then-
wouldn't, you
Mm,
don't have to get this one signed. It could just probably sit in here and then in your e-signatures, they'll also be added to this. This doesn't feel like the way I'd want to do it.
yeah,
So that's why I do either Dropbox or Google Drive, so that you also have it somewhere else that's more readily accessible. Another thing I would also say, and I'm sure we're getting there soon, I'll have to talk to Rory, but you don't have access to these files on the go. So even if they're uploaded in the compliance section of Business Tracker and whatnot, so it doesn't really help me if someone's saying, Kate, oh my God, the transaction's on fire. We need X from you. And apparently I'm the only person that has it. I'm sure we've also been in that place too. And I can't get to it if I'm not on the desktop of my computer. So for me, having Google Drive and having that be so user-friendly on iPhone or Android, whatever you use as an app, makes me feel like no matter where I am, my business is available to me. And as a complete OCD control freak, that is really a calming thing to feel at night for myself.
Can I ask about
Alright.
that question she just asked about the email? So I see across the middle of the screen, it says email activity. Wouldn't your email be in there? Why would you put it into the folder?
These are emails that you send directly from the Compass platform, not if you're just sending an email via mail, Gmail, wherever. You probably are normally responding to your emails.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome. So yeah, any emails like that, I would say, if it's like a super important email, download it as a PDF, upload it into the Google Drive or wherever. It could be Dropbox. It doesn't have to be like Google Drive. That's just what I use. So that's what I can.
Well, for
speak to.
compliance though, you just use the unique address assigned to that property and either BCC or CC that address, and then that's just gonna pull all your compliance emails in.
You can do that too. So figure out what I usually say is whatever we do here, whatever steps you make, it doesn't need to be perfect. It'll be one step better than what you already have going on today or how everything's already organized. So that's it. That's all I have on this session. Really don't get, yes, it's so true. I'm like, whenever I used to leave sessions with Chirag a couple years ago, I'd be like, okay, but I want it to be perfect tomorrow. And I want to have a $5 million listing tomorrow. And he's like, could you just relax for a second? This is like one step at a time. Let's not put the cart in front of the horse. I'm like, but I want to, I was so eager to get it done. But sometimes that resulted in also just not getting anything done because if it wasn't perfect, I didn't want to do it. And if it was uncomfortable, I didn't want to lean into it. Finally, once I kind of got rid of that, I'm like, okay, well, just making a Google folder is more than I had on February 20th. So we're one step closer. And then build
This
on it
is
from
very
there.
helpful. Thank you.
Good, 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 good. I'm really happy to hear that. Awesome. All right, well, I kept you guys over. Sorry. Won't be the last time, I can promise you that. But thank you for your time and reach out if you need anything else. In the next 24 hours, we'll have some stuff up for you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you.